Hey there, friends. This is Bill MacDonald, the writing doctor and reading doctor as well. Welcome to CREST Part 1, Lesson 7, where I try to show you teachers who are having to model and mentor both reading and writing, but don't have a lot of time. How do you take care of those two birds with one stone so that you can still get enough quantity of teaching reading while adding in some quantity and quality of writing as well. For today's video, I'm going to show you something in the binder that'll help you as you're doing reading assignments with your students. So if you think of these two words, reading, writing, reading, writing, they're in alphabetical order. And so students definitely will learn how to read better than they learn how to write. And so while you are going through any reading content, novels, passages, sentences, paragraphs, plays, poems, informative, fiction, literary nonfiction. It doesn't matter what you're going over. There's always going to be capitalization, usage, punctuation, spelling. There hopefully won't be any run-ons or fragments in that content, but there will be opportunities to do revising where you say, oh, what's another way that we could have written that sentence? That would be known in revision, which we'll talk about in our second part. What is the best revision in sentence blank? So as you're reading, before we get into our open-ended practice for capitalization after you've taught, modeled all the rules, I wanted to show you something in the binder that will help you, teachers who are limited on time, that your kids can either have in their writing or reading binders. You can have a classroom bulletin board full of these where the kids kind of grow the capitalization words and phrases that they find. So let me show that to you. Go in your binder with me to page 602, and I'll share the screen so that you can see that. Page 602. We're going to get into this part here, but if you're going to be doing open-ended capitalization or multiple choice capitalization, like my next video, my last video on capitalization, before we move to punctuation, I'm going to recommend that you actually have given the students enough time to learn the rules of capitalization, to learn different techniques. Capitalization so far, I've said, is going to be visual, verbal, auditory, and kinesthetic. And if you can think about that every single time, it'll make reading these sentences and writing the corrections much easier if they've had a chance and opportunity. So if you look there on the left-hand side, you'll see that it says page 119. So with my mouse, I'm going to take you to page 602, enter. And for about 25 pages or so, I came up with 25 different types of capitalization that your students are going to find. When you watched me on the last video, lesson 6, you saw me wearing that little 4th of July hat with the little rubber band string around it. Well, what you see here in the video, in the binder, is about, what is that, 4 times 4, maybe? 4 times 4, 16 different hats slash caps that are going to make your students think about capitalization. So I'll be a good boy and read the directions for you. Capitalization rules using a cap theme for each rule. Capital, okay? Now, the cool thing about doing the kinesthetic rule for capitalization is I'm doing it kinesthetically and I'm doing it verbally. So I'm going to alternate back and forth as I read this paragraph so you can see just kinesthetic or just verbal. And then on one of them, I'll do it both verbally and kinesthetically. Capital. Sorry, capital. Since capital letters are taller than lowercase letters, think of caps and hats that also make people look taller when they are wearing them. Throughout the year, as you are reading in and out of school, use the following pages to build a capitalization list that describes the capitalization rules on each page. Make sure that you write the word or phrase small enough to fit plenty on each page. Capital, verbal. Remember to capitalize the first, last, and important words to underline the capital letters 3 times to remind yourself of the underline capitals, proper nouns. To make capital, to make learning for fun, decide on a special day of the week. To make capitalization, learning capitalization for fun, decide on a special day or week that everyone will bring special hats or caps that they will make or buy to use every time capitalization is being spoken or written about in class. So you wouldn't wear your hat or cap unless you were actually making a verbal discussion. Mr. MacDonald, may I go to the restroom? Well, no, you've gone already too many times today. Capital. My name is Capital Bill, Capital Mac, Capital Donald. So you can do it verbally or kinesthetically or both. So what I wanted to show you here was something that I did, so you won't have to. Pronoun I used in a different position in each sentence. So what do I mean by that? Well, you would start where most kids like to start. Slow as in whoa, shift, size, left shift, capital I, love to eat sour pickles in the morning. Now, that's the weirdest sentence in history, but I just want to practice the concept, okay? Verb starting, eating sour pickles in the morning is what I love to do. So that one, it has the I after the verb. Sour pickles love to eat in the morning. Let's take the time to save some space, probably. I can click select, move it over here, and then stretch that all the way out to the end. So that it's all in one line. Yes. Okay. Where else can we start? Capital shift pickles that are sour are what I love to eat in the morning. You have room for all of it. Okay. Starting with the prepositional phrase, capital shift slow shift size I, and then take off the shift in the morning. And there's a short introductory phrase, so you can decide to put the comma or not. Usually with 3 words or less, it's optional. In the morning, I love to eat sour pickles. So since you did one with the class, then what you could do is have them erase if they all have the same, if they have a copy of it, and then they can do one as a group on the top half, and you can do them with the partner on the bottom half. And as you can see, now this is page 603. And what I've tried to do, if you'll notice, whatever page that you see down here, if you happen to print them out, it'll be the same page in the binder on the digital file itself. I used to have the title page on there, but that made the pages not match up. So this Adobe Acrobat file, and in case you're wondering which one, I use Adobe Acrobat Pro. It allows me to quickly go to the pages. Some of the documents that you use don't allow you to get to pages quickly like this. But that's what I use. Somebody was asking me about that, so I just wanted to let you know. So the next page, addresses, streets, avenues, roads, boulevard, highways, apartment complex, a subdivision, because we live in lots of places. And so you can practice, and you don't necessarily have to let the kids give away where they live, but you could at least name the streets. So here's an example of what that would be. Right shift, capital, size. Sorry about that, I thought I turned off my noise on my phone. I'll do that right now. Ellis, whoops, Ellis, space, right shift, size, slow shift, size, avenue. My dad's old business was on 1315 Capital West, capital, business, capital, highway 83. And I'm not worried about cities and cities and states right now. He also used to be on 2 capital M miles space, capital South, capital L, right shift space R, So it's slow, shift, size, road. And then to remind yourself, remember we talked about the importance of having your kids, oops, that's not what I was trying to do, having your kids keep in mind that are they indeed playing the slow button? Trying to draw here. I want to make sure. Draw. I think I have a thickness button. Yes, I do. Make sure you guys can see that. There we go. That's the title part. And then you have a slow shift capital. They are, those were the ones that you would underline. And again, if you do that one practice as with your whole class, then you could do one as a group on the top and have them work as a partner on the bottom. Or once they've practiced it, you can erase and then they print out a copy. And then every single time that they're reading something that has the name of a street, boulevard, a certain highway, they can on their own write it neatly with pencil or pen, because they'll hopefully have a hard copy and they'll be able to do that. So that's the idea of using the caps. And I hope that you like the idea that, you know, wearing a cap makes you look taller than you are. So each one has its own special kind of hat. Family members, because it belongs to the lungs. I think I don't need that S. It belongs to the family members. So what I'm going to do right now, while y'all are all watching, go to my mouse, click on my tools. I'm going to see if it will let me edit that right now. Edit document text, so I won't forget. You just need to email me. I'll send you this corrected version because it belongs to something that I taught you in an earlier lesson, that you can draw a slow down wall between whoops, let me undo that was way too big. Let me go ahead and go with my size format. I'm going to come back one size. So what you're saying, what I'm saying is draw a wall. It says slow down. That means that the names belong to the members, plural. And so then I will, while we're finishing this video, I will click save. And so each of you just have to remember, when you get a chance, email me, because I don't want you to have that incorrect version there. While we're waiting for that to save, I'll go ahead and turn my volumes down so you guys won't have any more disturbances during the presentation. So that should be good. It's replacing the font. So I don't know how long it's going to do that, but again, what I was going to share with you is that as your students are reading anything, whether it be passages that you go over in the different genres, there we go, it's done. Novels, if you're doing novels, if they're reading their own books at the library, they're reading a newspaper, if they're just going down the street and they see some of these things, then they can um, write them down, maybe take a picture with their phone. And that way, when they get to school, they can put it on their capitalization page that corresponds with it. So the rest of them, I won't do with you. So the idea is you might start the first time you learn the rules that are on page 107 that we talked about. And then this one goes into more specifics. So you'll be able to have them have a growing list of capitalization, special dates, the month, the date, the day it's on in the week, and the year. Stores, restaurants, and businesses, all those can be put together. The makes and models of vehicles. And you can start by having the kids write down the make and model of the whole class, if you're doing it as a class, just their group of 4 or 5 kids, or if they're working with a partner, they're making their model. Of course, they would have to be capitalized. Like I have a capital Toyota, capital RAV, and the number 4, so that would be on there. Buildings, statues, monuments, whether they're in local, state, and national memorials. The titles of articles, books, passages, newspapers, or novels, or other work. The names of shows, movies, shows, songs, bands, musicians, actors, internet sites. So kind of a group right there of different things. Special holidays, so not just special days, but special holidays where you actually get time off from work or school for that holiday. Or you can say, well, it's kind of debatable if you're saying, well, Valentine's Day is a special day, but it's not a holiday. Well, tell the kids you can either put it on holiday or you can put it on special day. They don't have to have it on both. And again, this is an 8.5 by 11 sheet of paper. They can, if they write small enough, they can put 10 or 15 on there. What sometimes I do is we work on one with the whole class, and everybody has a copy. Everybody has one copy. And if you have, let's say, 4 periods or 5 periods, then the paper stays there, and it's the job of each person that comes in to write neatly, and they can add to the ones that are there. So by the time, if you have 4, 5, or 6 class periods coming through, by the time they've all come through the group project of it's going to hopefully be pretty filled up by the time the last group comes in. Who are my school friends, teachers, or titles of certain administrators that I feel are important to me? The opening and the closing of closings of letters in different way. That mariachi hat reminds the kids, do not start with I all the time. That was one of the rules that we practiced when we said putting I in different places in the sentence. I don't want to hear I like to start with I all the time. So make sure there's always trying to start with different words I don't want. So tuck my toe all the way to Mexico. Couple more. The names of teams and mascots. High school, college, professional. The first word in every sentence. So they probably would write here, then there's only enough room for maybe the top 10. So you can say, what are my top 10 sentences? And if it's saved in their computer, if you go ahead and let everybody have their own computer version of this, which is fine with me, they can each write their own. And so what that means is they would be able to remove one if they felt like they found a sentence that was cooler than one of their 10, that they could number from 1 through 10 on the top. 1 through 5 on the top and 6 through 10 on the bottom, or however many that you can fit. One of the coolest sentences that I've read by a 7th grader was this: the 10 car ride to the school each day is a blur. In other words, this student is so nervous and so frustrated, so scared about life at school, that everything just goes in a blur for her. And this was the cool part. And the butterflies drop the Y. Here's your Y. Drop the Y and add I-E-S. And the butterflies in my stomach transform. Do I say transform or transformed? Is a blur, so we would say transform. They happen right now. Transform to rising. Agitated. Snakes. That was written by a student. And so whenever I'm reading something by a student on an essay, I might have, in this case, because of the size that I'm writing, I might only be able to fit a couple of sentences, so my top 2. And so if each student has their own copy of the binder, or if they each have their own sheet, if it's online, they can always be erasing and then putting a new one. But if it's written, they would have to get a new one each time they're going to update. So just kind of something for you to think about. My top sentences, and what you can do is say, I'm only going to print each capitalization rule on one side so that the student can use the front and the back to practice that specific rule. So that would be an example of what you might have as the top 10 sentences that a student finds. Let's finish the rest. The first word in a direct quotation, when we practiced in the last video, we said the 5 cuz. Comma. Maria yelled, comma. Quotation. Capital. 3 cuz that happen right in a row. I can't stand this boy. Closing. It's number 4. And quotation, because we're done talking. So they could look for the best quotations, which means someone is talking to themselves or someone else in that sentence. And so again, they could save some on the front. Maybe you do the front top half here. Just again, just a couple of ideas I'm thinking about here. If you practice the top part with the class, you could do the bottom part with a group. And because we print one-sided, you could have them work with a partner on the back half on the top, and to try one on their own on the bottom half. And then again, it can be something that could be have a nice long list if they're writing small enough, or you just always have some examples to pick from if they need some. So let me get through the rest. Cities, states, countries, and continents. And we only need to go to page 627. So we've got several more. Some service organization, government, political parties, and agencies. Things that we find during our reading passages that will be helpful. Television and radio stations, internet sites, and computers. So there's kind of 2 places where you can put some internet information. churches or any other nonprofit organizations, the name of candies, foods, drinks, and food. The only company I know of that actually breaks the capitalization rule for candy is M&M. They use lowercase curved m's instead of the capitals, but they do have the apostrophe s that it belongs to them, supposedly. People with special titles. So unique people that are titles that we hear in books or that we read in magazines or novels or in certain passages. Save that page just for that. Languages and people groups. What dialect? What is their tongue? The Native American Indians. Just whatever you decide that you're going to use. A sporting or competition event. The Capital Super Capital Bowl. The Capital World Series. Mountain special occasions and bodies of water. So all of those, I think that was the last one. No, any other proper nouns? Like I always leave one blank in case there's something I forgot. I'm sure there's still one out there. So what we'll do with that in mind, I'm going to go to page 119. And so you can say, well, how would I be able to actually practice that? So let me stop sharing for a second to make sure that when I go back in, it allows me to let you see what I'm seeing, because sometimes I've done that and it doesn't go back in. So share the screen and go into that page again. I'm going to make it full page so you can see it pretty well. I'm still in the corner there. And so lost my something didn't work right that time. I lost my ability to stop sharing and share that again. Share the screen. One more time. Thanks for your patience. There we go. I wanted to be able to annotate that it was hidden behind here, so I wasn't able to see it. So let me just kind of rearrange the page. So I'm gonna click up on the size here and make it just small enough where I can fit 5 in there. There you go. So I can annotate. So what was our first rule? Oh, the water was so fresh today, period. We remember that the first word in the sentence must be capitalized. So if you're pressed for time, have them just write the mistake. Capital. And what we do? Right shift. Slow. Shift size. You're wanting to work on keeping things on the line and spacing. Water, space. Was, space. So, space. Fresh, space. Today, period. And when I take a look at it, I'll be able to see, is it on the line? Yes, exactly. The next one, we have our principle. So this is one where some of us might get in a debate, but since her title is not, I spoke with Principal Nava about my problem. In that case, you would use principal with a capital. But in this case, it's saying it's just our principal. So then we would have capital, and then over here, left shift, Mrs. abbreviated, left shift Nava, and then classroom. I see that's a problem because we need to have the classroom in lowercase, not in capital letters. Classroom. Okay. Number 3, today. What did I tell you that we could do? We said that you could technically, and because slow is yellow, you could technically put a comma right there because you're telling me when you're doing something, but the 1, 2, and 3 word commas are optional. Capital. Today, comma or no comma, we are taking our STAR test. So the official name of the test is STAR test. And in case you were not watching or paying attention, or you were focused on something else during the last video, so STAR is an acronym. So all the letters would be capitalized, and then test is the second part of the name. Number 4, the name of a person. They called Leilani. Right shift. Size. Slow. Cardenas. To the front of the class. Since they're not telling me the name of that special class, it's not like a course or something that's being taken, then you would just use normal class in that case. Last one. Now. And again, because now is a when, we could technically start it off with a comment now. Because when you do something, now he knows that the killer whale is tougher. So you think, oh, like capitalized names of animals? Not in this case. You don't. It's just a common noun. So it's just going to be your students having to practice. And so you guys can see that. Notice. Accidentally left it in black. There we go. Should be in black again here. Let's do undo. Correctly. Do it back. And now I'm on the last one. Black. Text. Black. See this one on killer whale is just a name of an animal, so you don't have to capitalize in that case. So that's how you do it. One other way, and again, there's about 10 pages, 15 pages of these. It goes from page 119. Clear on my drawings so I can show you how many pages that it's got for practicing capitalization once you've gone over all the rules. Those 2-page for punctuation starts page 128. So 119, 20, 21, 22, 23, 24, 25, 26, 27, 28. So 10 pages times, let's see here, move me out of the way so I can scroll down on this page. 10 pages of about 10 each will give you an opportunity to practice Dear Doc daily editing and revising. Editing in this case of development, organization, or convention displays, specifically capitalization. So that is CREST online training, lesson 7, how to build a word bank, phrase bank of capitalization phrases using those, what is that, about 25 to 26 different pages of capitalization rules that your kids are going to find. And then, so as you're reading, if the kid notices a capitalization mistake, they can be the first one, or a capitalization rule, let's say, because they won't find very many mistakes, hopefully, in reading. You'll have a capitalization rule, and the kids can say, oh, building, restaurant, whatever it happens to be. And another way to play the open-ended is to have a minute to win it, where they have 1 minute to go as far as they can. And that way you're not doing it for 10, 15, 20 minutes. You just say, okay, you're just going to start at the top, just fix the mistakes that are wrong. And a minute to win it means that whichever student has the most correct answers, just the words that need capitalization in this case, in 1 minute or less, is the winner for points or prizes for that day. So thank you guys so much for participating. And tomorrow, in my next video, I'll be showing you how to take the actual online, if you're ready for a unit test. Sorry, my eyes been bugging me too from lack of sleep. When you take your unit tests and you're ready for it in capitalization, I have an online version and the binder has the digital one. So whichever you prefer. I did once again have a couple of 2-point questions, because if they're going to write not just editing and revising passages, but they'll be having to do an extended essay question. If you're in reading and everybody's going to be in reading for their reading class, then you're going to want them to be able to see sentences that have more than one mistake. So that's just my philosophy behind that. Why am I showing you multiple choice questions in an online testing format that have more than one mistake? Because in real life, we are going to make more than one mistake, but on the actual editing, your kids will only see one mistake, from my understanding, because they said everything's going to be worth just 1 point, not 2 points on editing or more. So take care. Have a blessed day. Be sure to email me or message me something that you were able to take or enjoy from this lesson. And all of you that are doing that are earning points in my Excel program with all of your names in it. So take care and God bless.